Hey everybody, it's Mickey Kaiser with War Room Relics, back with another video. Early on when we first started doing these, I listed or put out a couple of 1872 cappies. One was an enlisted version, one was an officer's version. So guess what we got in store for you today? Another 1872 cappy. This one is a general officer's version. Now, after the Civil War, there was a push to upgrade and update our military. But there was also some diehards that wanted to hang on to some traditional equipment, the kepi being one of them. Early on in our military history, we were pretty heavily influenced by the European countries as far as the uniforms, the equipment, the tactics, pretty much everything, because we kind of copied what they did because they'd been successful and we were just getting started. So this model 1872 kepi is influenced heavily by what the French officers wore at that time period, called a chasseurs cap. Looking at the regulations to make sure I got all my facts straight, for a general officers, or a model 1872 kepi rather, you're supposed to have a 3-inch front, 3.5 inch on the sides, and from the top of the crown to the bottom of the band in the rear is supposed to be a 6-inch measurement. This one turned out to be about 5.5. And it's supposed to have a 5-inch diameter crown, which this one is exactly. It's supposed to be made out of dark blue material. And what makes this, one of the things that makes this one a general officer's kepi, is this band down here at the bottom. This is a 1.25 inch black velvet band, which is exactly what the regulations require. The chin strap is supposed to be a 3/8 inch wide chin strap made of patent leather. Obviously, this one's not patent leather, but the visor is. This is not a tarred leather visor. This is actually a patent leather visor that's attached to the body of the kepi. The buttons were either supposed to be your coat of arms, infantry, artillery, cavalry, engineers, whatever the case may be. But in this case right here, this is not only a general officer's kepi, but it's for a National Guard officer. I don't know if we'll be able to make these buttons out or not. Well, if I can find it. But what you have here is the state seal for the state of New Hampshire. And then along the edge, or the top part of the button over here, it actually is stamped into the button, New Hampshire Volunteer Militia. Of course, they abbreviated volunteer to VOL. But this tells us that this is a National Guard General Officer's kepi from the 1872 period. The badges that were required to be worn on the front of the kepi, again, if you were infantry, you would have crossed rifles, artillery, crossed cannons, cavalry, crossed sabers. If you were a general officer, you were required to wear, on a dark blue backing, a gold wreath encircling the letters US in Old English script. So hopefully that'll make up pretty good, so you guys can see that. The lining was supposed to be made out of silk. This one is partial. It's a partial liner remaining. You have polished cotton in the back here, and then a silk lining that went over it. And our silk is kind of deteriorated on the back side of the lining. Now, when they finally decided on what all the particulars were going to be for the different types of, or different levels, general officer, field grades, company grade officers, and enlisted, a contract was finally drawn up, and the first 28,000 of these 1872 kepis were produced by a company out of Boston that went by the name of Bent and Bush. Lo and behold, hopefully this will show up pretty good. That's the exact company logo in the top of our kepi. That's a Bent and Bush produced model 1872 kepi. Now, they were big into military contracts. They supplied equipment from the Civil War, Indian Wars period, Spanish-American War period. They were pretty prolific in the late 1800s, early 1900s as far as supplying military branches with different, mostly it was clothing and headgear. But I just thought that would be interesting. We've covered the enlisted version of the model 1872 kepi. We've covered an officer's version of the model 1872 kepi. And now we've got the general officer's version of the model 1872 kepi. You can find this one listed on War Room Relics. It's listed under American Indian Wars, and the subcategory is headgear. Try to make this as simple as possible so you guys can find this stuff. But if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Hope you all having a great day. We'll see you later.